Today I'm going to start off with telling you $184,000. What is that? My student debt. And today I'm going to be talking about the resources that I was unaware that's available if you look and do a little bit of work, right? Today I actually was talking to a group of students of all ages. I'm talking about, from, I'm guessing, maybe 18 to beyond their 60s. And I was talking to a group of students about that were returning back to school and showing them the different resources that were available. So specifically, I was looking at scholarships today, but I also wanted to talk about things I've been researching myself and discovering of all the mass opportunities. So I continue to tell you, where we're talking about playing it safe or trying things that are not safe. There's a lot of resources, particularly I know for a fact in the United States, there's a lot of different resources out here that you can either pursue a program, go back to school, or if you're trying to, write a book or write a movie script or any of those things, there is different resources that can help you aid those adventures. So I keep starting off with $184,000. Now, as a first generation student, what do I deem a first generation student? My mother, I'm the first generation that was born here from her, right, in the United States. And she, luckily was able to graduate high school, but she wasn't able to attend college. So as a first generation student, I was the first generation in my family to go to college and pursue an education. Now, the difference between someone whose parents have gone through the system of education and continuing their education and not is having knowing the knowledge and different resources. And so at the time I wasn't aware of different opportunities, different community colleges, what was expensive, what was not. So I had no clue. I had no idea about whether private school to not private school. And and I still trying to figure out what I want to do, right? I just knew that education was the thing. Now, I don't like to preach that you need an education. The hard part in today's society is that a lot of these jobs, regardless of your experience, they want you to have this darn stupid piece of paper. I don't want to say education stupid, but they need this darn paper to show you're qualified regardless of the years of experience and expertise you may have. A lot of times, and some of you who are listening now are in fields that don't have that piece of paper, but you have more expertise in that area. And then you find yourself training someone who gets paid more than you because they have that piece of paper that states they're qualified, and you're having to train them for the position that you got passed up for, right? And they're getting paid more than you, and you know more than them. So I always practice and really, I guess I would say preach, is I try to get people to figure out what they want to do and what does it take to be the best at it. Now, a lot of the best at it may require a piece of paper that shows or states you're qualified, or certifications, or some type of, programming skill set, portfolio, anything of that nature. So what we've done, especially in the United States, is we've done a really good job of telling people they need an education. We've also done a really terrible job telling people they need an education. And what do I mean by that is that a lot of people are going to get a particular degree or certification, not understanding the specifics that they need or the specialization. A lot of people that are that received a degree or a certification were really generalized, and so a lot of these individuals are having a really hard time finding a position, employment, getting higher wages. And as I mentioned, $184,000. A lot of individuals, because they weren't aware of the process, have a lot of student debt that they need to pay back. I believe my coworker, one of them, she owes about $220,000, but her monthly payment is $1,900 to pay back on her student debts. I have another coworker who owes about the same amount, or did owe about the same amount and was paying $1,700 a month for their student loans. Now, on the other spectrum, I have people that pay about the same amount that I know of, or pay a little bit less, but never were able to apply the degree they got to the area that they wanted to study. And so therefore they might still be in the same job with no better pay, and now they have to pay back on this loan. Now, can I claim bankruptcy? I can, but it won't delete the $184,000 that I owe. Luckily, that was able to get, all bachelor's, master's, doctorate degree. It was able to cover all that. But a lot of people are still unaware of the resources that they have available. So today, when I was talking to students, I was really trying to, show them the resources, and something as simple as like scholarships.com. Now, mind you, as a disclaimer, I do not get paid from these people, right? But scholarships.com, a very simple resource, actually has you create a profile. It's free. It asks you some questions, right? Like, what is your age? What are you going for? Like, what are your goals? Your nationality, ethnicity, religion, different things of that nature. Do you have a financial need? And then it comes out with the areas that you're qualified for and the different types of scholarships that you can get for what you want to pursue. Now, a few weeks ago, a kid out in the East Coast, I believe, got it was on the national news. He received $1.2 million in scholarships. And you're like, does he win the lotto? Well, no, technically, but his hard work pursued off. So there is no actual number of scholarships that you can max out on applying for. The way scholarship works, if you're going back to school, is if you are awarded this particular scholarship, it will first send it to the school. The school will see if your tuition is paid for it, and then they will send you the rest. You will get a disbursement of that money, and the disbursement dates based on the place you go to, the institution you go to, will be different dates. So that's the typical way it will go. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't qualify for financial aid. That's okay. It still requires you to apply for financial aid to see your need, if you need it or not, but there's still a handful of scholarships, or a lot of scholarships, that have it where you don't need a financial need basis. Now, their scholarships is anywhere from like $100 to like $25,000 or more. And the problem is a lot of people just only apply for those large scholarships versus applying to $500 scholarships, but applying to, 300 of those, and maybe you get awarded half of those. Now you got money to pursue your goals. There's different types of avenues that you can go for. Now, scholarships can be anything from, whether you're male, female, your sexuality, your race, your age, what area you grew up in, what type of degree or certificate that you're going for, what are your passions. There's scholarships for everything. I've been on a few scholarship committees, and the main thing I hear from a lot of these scholarship committees is that there's not enough applicants, period. They have the money's there, but people are unaware of it. How are they unaware of it? Me. $184,000. I was unaware of scholarships. I had no clue, no idea. I still, remember my poor mother, I bless her heart. She was a single parent. We struggled really hard. And I still remember our first, purchase of textbooks. She was very proud, single mother, taking me to the bookstore, and I took my transcript or my class schedule, took it to the bookstore, and went and got all the books that was required for my classes. Now, I believe the total was about $665 or something like that, and some change. My mother, single mom, trying to make ends meet, pulls out her credit card, and I still remember the look on her face, the emotion that she was trying to refrain from letting me see that was a lot of money. Now, was that a lot of money? Yeah. I remember that was in the early 2000s. That was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money for books today. And it took her years. I found out later, it took her years to pay that off, right? After that first semester, I never bought another book. I just couldn't see my mom doing that. And or I never made her pay for another book. I went to the library, borrowed the books, and I also hustled my way through college. What do I mean by that? Before I actually didn't know about scholarships, right? I wish I did. What I did know was at the time I worked for Jiffy Lube. Yeah, that's right. I used to work for an oil changing place. And the owner of that facility there, he was like, "Hey, Veronica, why don't you be creative and hit up my friends for money to help you with school? A lot of my wealthy friends need tax write-offs, and they can, pay for your school as long as you show them some kind of receipt so they can write that off as a donation." So I got, that gave me like a light bulb, like, oh. So I went to my institution I was going to, asked them for like a letterhead that I can use that showed that I was a student there, and I wrote, careful letter crafted, and pretty much it said what I was going for, why I was going for it. Again, I still didn't know, but I was just trying to make my way through. And I also would go anytime I get money from someone, I would go to the school, I would submit it, and I would quickly bring back a receipt to show that it was paid and give it to the individual that gave it to me. It worked well. I was able to pay for my books and help pay some of that tuition. Now, the $400,000 I owe, probably another $30,000 or more would have been added on it if I didn't pay for it at the time. So that's with all the hard-earned money that I put towards going for my education. So if I knew about scholarships, I know a lot of people that still to this day, their job is applying for scholarships if they're going to pursue some type of education or, career, is that they will continue to apply for different scholarships, and they just apply. Like one of the students today was like, "Oh, I've been getting a bunch of scholarships." Yeah, I apply for 3 a day. I know some that apply for 10 a day. Again, there's thousands and thousands of scholarships out there. So I just want to let you know, if you are, curious about it, going for something, look, try scholarships.com if you're trying to go back to school. I live in California. In California, I even know that we have what's called the California Promise Grant. It's not part of the scholarship part, but it's part of a grant that's, the majority of students get free tuition. When I say majority of students, even my husband, when he went back to school, we make too much, and he was able to get that free tuition because they deem it based on multiple factors, not just income. And that you were able to at least get free tuition to at least pursue the classes you need. Now, the tuition was for California community colleges. California community colleges, offer lots of things. They offer anything from wanting to pursue a degree for transfer, maybe you're trying to earn a bachelor's, or even certifications, whether you want to go in fire academy, police academy, cosmetology, culinary arts, welding, the list goes on. Geez, there's just so many. Computer graphics, photography, digital design, architect. Again, there's just, agriculture. There's so many different options that there's there. Community colleges offer those different types of things. And imagine going to a school that maybe you can get free tuition. And if you don't get free tuition, again, there's plenty of scholarships out there. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it's really important because as I was talking to my students today, I continue to realize I don't share those resources with you all. I just been sharing it with my students, and I get really passionate because of how much free money there is out there. That it kills me that people don't know that. And a lot of times, because I didn't know, right? It took me a long time to finish what I want or pursuing a degree, because there was a part I needed to work hours for free, and being a poor student, I didn't have the resources to leave, my job or anything like that. I actually had to eventually quit work for a little bit and live, off somebody, couch surfing in a sense, to be able to just, do that. That was really hard. That was a really hard time. But maybe some of you are like, listen, I'm not trying to go back to school, which, I think I mentioned film. There's community colleges have film as well, right? But maybe you have this idea or this project that you want to do. There's resources for that as well. And even though I continued to tell people, hey, scholarships, scholarships, scholarships. And it took me a long time to know that that was an option. I still was unaware of the different types of opportunities or other money in the form of grants that there is out there to help you pursue your passion projects. It took me, my sister-in-law, who's written a couple books, shout out to Dr. Marlene Doubt, all right? It took her to tell me, like, hey, what are you doing? Because I am writing a book right now called Playing It Safe, right? I'm trying to turn these people that I interview, get their stories out and kind of just show the non-traditional aspect and show their representation out there and just show the different opportunities that are available to you all. Okay, so I'm working on that. Why has it taken me so long? Is like, I don't have that much extra money. I have 5 kids. How am I supposed to do that? Not only is it time consuming, it's financially draining, right? To be able to travel, interview people, and the people that I have listed for the book, I haven't, majority of them I haven't, interviewed for a podcast. And it's because originally I was trying to do that instead of a podcast. The crazy, thing that happened, right, where we all were isolated, caused me to end up recording. But a lot of people that I want to interview are cross country, international, just really awesome people, I think, that are very inspirational. So that's going to be financially draining. So I was sent my sister-in-law sent me a couple websites, and I just did a couple Google searches and went on this whole tell of different grants, free money that's out there for different projects. There was a lot of, like, whether you're writing a book, whether it's fictional or non-fictional, there was different, money for that. If you were going to be creating a play, there's money for that. If you're trying to do a short film, there is money for that. If you are doing something artistic project, there's money for that. I mean, the list goes on. I just couldn't believe the type of money. There was not only money for that, there was different types of grants, like that had a retreat or resort for you to go to have that time to be creative. Like, I'm at home a lot with my kids, and you might hear noises in the background because the washer machine is going. The kids might be, I don't know, trying to stomp upstairs. There's a lot of distraction here. It's really hard to get anything done. I couldn't believe that there was multiple places all around the world that had areas like, hey, tell us what you need and you can come stay with us. And, we can give you 2 weeks of distraction-free environment where there's a chef that cooks your meals. You have this quiet space. You have internet. You have all these. And I was like, I just wanted to apply just to, just to get out. Didn't know that that was an option. So I think a lot of times we want to pursue something and we're worried that we don't have the resources, right? That's why it's taking me so long to make my little baby steps. It's taking me forever because I feel like I don't have the resources. But I had to remind myself, with help, that there is the resources out there. So if any of you are trying to either, change careers, pursue a passion, do a couple searches online. See what's out there, I'm interested in this. Is there money to help me pay for it? See what's out there. Obviously, be careful of scams. Don't just be giving your social security to anyone. But there's a lot of free resources that, I think that's why sometimes we get, some people get frustrated because they're like, well, I didn't get any help. There's no resources out there. And some people on the other, and they're like, there's plenty out there. You just didn't look. And the reality is there is a lot. Again, I'm still learning. I'm having to look. I'm having to, look at deadlines. Does it take some work? Yes. If you had a bunch of money, would you just start giving it out without people expressing to you what they're going to do with that money? Probably not. You would want someone to explain, what is the plan? Tell me about it. And so a lot of these have writing with it, right? I'm not the best writer. There is resources to help you correct that as well. But you just want to make sure that, you're showing your passion through that statement of writing, that you can submit an entry. So a lot of them is just a quick little statement. May have a couple questions, and answer it. It's a numbers game. I know that I had talked about creativity before. This is being creative to fund your projects, to fund your passion. I also talked about having failures, being rejected. That might be part of the process, but don't just put all your eggs in one basket. I know that's such a saying, a cliche saying, but multiple, apply for multiple things. Whatever you think you may qualify for, apply for it. I've been looking at some of these things. I qualify because I'm a woman. I'm a woman, over 35. I qualify for a new grant. Right. I'm a Latina woman. I qualify for another. I'm a mother. I qualify for, another. There's just so many options that I can qualify for. So now I'm working on applying and doing that extra due diligence to hopefully get my projects funded, so that way it's not just coming out of my pocket and creating that extra struggle that I'm trying to get to with me worrying about that extra, right? Having the resources, unfortunately, is I say unfortunately, right? Because I wish I could just say, hey, go do it. You guys can do it. Sometimes we need resources, right? And when we have those resources, we have those options. We have those options to transition to try something different. I know many of you listening, including myself, we didn't come from privilege. We don't have that generational wealth. We can't just take some time off to go do what we want because we decided, hey, I don't like this. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm saying is that there is a lot of free available money, free available resources. You just have to go look for it. As I said, $184,000, y'all. And my amount that I owe compared to a lot of people I know actually is kind of on the lower spectrum. On the plus side, some of you that might have been in debt, there's options there too. I've been working for a few years on my student loan forgiveness program. Hopefully, don't worry, I recertify every year. I know a lot of people might message me and be like, did you know they don't? Yeah. I've been recertifying, okay, every year. Hopefully by 2027, mine will be forgiven. Do they forgive them? I actually, one of my other colleagues who owed over $200,000 just informed me that just recently it was all forgiven without the tax penalty. That's incredible. My sister-in-law, it was forgiven without that penalty. Amazing. It gives me some hope that even though I didn't know about these, these scholarships or other, resources, that maybe I can eventually, benefit from that. But in the meantime, I'm going to practice what I preach and continue to keep working on the different resources that are available to fund my project that has nothing to do with my, my job. I don't want to say nothing, but it's not work funded. It's just me trying to bring out my passion, because through this book, even though I hate writing, through this book, I get to explore. I get to try different things. I get to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. So please do yourself a favor. Do some searches out there. Get on the internet. Use your phone. Look for something. Start trying. See what's available out there. You might be surprised what you find. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at plainitsave000@gmail.com. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to talking to y'all next time. Keep that head up and keep going, y'all. Have a good one. Bye now.